Hi, I'm Ephraim Elliott, and you've just been placed on alert. Welcome to the Elliott Alert. My guest today is Miss Barbara Blunt Muhammad, our community activist in our community, Jefferson County and around the state, or Nation of Islam community activist, shall I say. How are you doing, Miss Muhammad?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay. Now, we'll dive right into it. You had a racial conference not too long ago. What do you call it? A racial ethnic conference.
It was an ethnic and racial conference.
Okay, ethnic and racial conference. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me why do you think that that's needed here in our community?
Because of the racial overtones that are happening within the community of Pine Bluff and Jefferson County.
Okay.
And is even happening in city government and county government.
Okay.
And there are a lot of people in the city of Pine Bluff and Jefferson County that are experiencing this.
Okay. When you say you're saying that there's some racial issues in our county and our city?
Yes.
Okay. Now our county, I mean, for a long time, 8 to 10 years, our city has been majority African American. So are we saying that we have some issues? African Americans have some issues with African Americans, or are we saying that there's some racial issues between white and African Americans?
There are racial issues between white and African Americans. And the reason why I say that is because African Americans, as we are called, do not know anything about being racist.
Okay.
We don't know how to be racist. We are in a racial system.
Okay.
And with us being the people that we are, as they call us, African Americans, we experience this a lot on different levels. Because I had a conversation at one time with a gentleman who was talking about his son was in medical school, and he did not know that the medical field was as racist as it is. And I said it is. It always has been. It didn't just start, not in the 21st century. This is something that's been going on all the time. That how you go up the ladder, quote unquote, the more racism you experience.
Okay. Well, now you're saying racism is prevalent here in Jefferson County,
It
right?
is.
Okay. Well, my question to that is, Pine Bluff is what, 85% African American?
Yes.
Okay. And we just had an election that we elected a white mayor. Now, are we saying that there's so much of a racial divide that we can't support one another because we sent a message saying that we wanted a white female mayor? So just like the president of the United States was elected by the majority and the popular vote, Pine Bluff elected a white mayor by the popular and the majority vote. So that would lead someone to believe that there may not be as big as a racial issue as you're saying. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, if we believe that it's not as big of a racial issue as it seems, then we're living in fantasy land.
Okay.
Because it is a racial issue. And point an example is we have a black assistant chief with seniority on the job.
Okay.
Why was he not promoted to interim chief when the chief of police, who was a black female, was terminated?
Isn't that the mayor's perspective? I mean, doesn't the mayor make that decision?
The mayor makes a decision, but your decisions have to be within the right frame of mind.
Okay. Well, now, did our first African American mayor, who was black, didn't he get rid of a white police chief?
Yes, he did.
So, I mean, what's the difference? I mean,
the white police chief, there were issues,
okay.
and I really can't elaborate on the issues.
Were there issues with the African American female chief of police?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Was the community pleased with her?
The community, if you're talking about the black community,
Yeah, well, the black
black community being pleased with it means that they were brainwashed. They really don't understand the type of jeopardy that we are in, that injustice exists.
Okay.
Even though the civil rights movement of the 60s was done, but it was not finished.
Okay.
Okay? And I always say it died with Dr. King because I keep remembering what he said.
Okay.
And I believe he did, he wrote this while he was in the Alabama jail, I believe. And he said that he was leading his people into a burning building. And if he had the time, he would go back to school and become a psychologist. And the reason why he was sad, because our minds are enslaved. The physical shackles were released, but our minds were not released. We are still dependent on the counterpart, our counterparts. We look to them to help us.
Well, I'm glad you said that, and we're going to discuss that. We have to go on break. When we come back, I want you to kind of elaborate a little further on what you're saying. We'll be right back.
Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Welcome back to the Elliott Alert. My guest today is our community activist, Nation of Islam, Miss Barbara Blunt Muhammad. Thanks again for coming on our show, Miss Muhammad.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now, when we left on break, you were speaking about how, I guess, as African Americans, we made a mistake, and that how, I guess, by us being informed, not informed, that I guess we made that kind of mistake. Now, my question to you is, with a community that is 85% African American, we had, 10 people run for mayor? 9 or 10 people run for mayor? And with our recent mayor, who won a vast majority of support, African American and white, if there's a racial issue, why was that not seen in the vote?
That was not seen in the vote because we are a people that are not aware as to who we are, where we come from, our reason for being here. We're out of, can I use the word? We are out of tune. And we are really in mental slavery. We were made to be in mental slavery by Willie Lynch.
Okay.
The Willie Lynch theory
Okay.
still exists because he told the slave masters that they would have a slave for life.
Well, let me ask you this. We just recently had a female white mayor in this last election. Before then, we had Mr. Reedus, who was there for 8 years.
Yes.
We had an African American majority council.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't you think we had an opportunity to take advantage of what we needed to take advantage of for the time being? So, just by looking at that scenario makes me believe that, or makes me say that we've had an opportunity to do what we needed to in reference to color, reference to progressiveness, and reference to all those things. Why did it not happen then? And because we have a white mayor now, is it so crucial?
It is crucial.
But why? Why is it crucial now?
It's crucial now because we, as African American, do have African Americans who can lead us.
Okay.
That can be in an elective position,
Okay.
such as mayor.
Right.
But we still have the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Okay.
Our
Did we have the
former mayor.
Did we have the Willie Lynch syndrome when we had 8 years of an African American?
We still had it
Okay.
because when they found out that our former mayor was going to be in office for another 4 years, and that he could retire after that 4 years, they did not want to see him receive the money for his retirement.
Now, when you say they, who are you referring to?
I'm referring to African Americans.
Okay, our own people.
Our own people.
Okay.
Okay, that's referred to as the crab syndrome.
Okay.
We see one trying to climb up and to do what's best for our people, and we'll pull him back down. That is our mentality.
And I don't think that's all of our mentality.
It's not all of our mentality. There are a few of us that it's not their mentality.
Right. Because it's not
99%
your mentality. It's not my mentality.
No.
It's, wouldn't you relate that more to the lack there of knowledge?
Yes, I would, because even in Scripture it says, God said, "My people perish for a lack of knowledge."
Okay. So now, if it's just a lack of knowledge, how can it be racism?
It's a lack of easy. It can be racist because they know how to come in and take advantage of us.
Okay.
They took advantage of us for 400 years.
Okay.
Okay? And when they decided, as they call it, freeing us, when the Emancipation Proclamation was written, they didn't deprogram us. They just let us go. And then they began to build prisons because they knew the condition of our minds. And I keep remembering what our late brother Malcolm X said. He said, "What do you call a black doctor?" He said, "A nigger." And in the medical field, I have seen that to be, because I have seen the racism that happens in the medical field right here in Pine Bluff. See, we are still having a dream. That's why we feel like that there is no racism here, because we are dreaming that one day we're going to be free. We still dreaming. And see, when you're dreaming, you sleep. So therefore, we are not woke.
So is there racism on both sides? Is there racism in the African American community and the white community?
What is wrong in the African American community is that we don't love each other.
Okay. So if we love one another, we cure the racism within ourselves.
We don't have racism because we don't even know how to practice racism.
Okay. So are we saying that all blacks get along with all blacks regardless of skin tone?
No.
So what do we call that when that happens?
Because it still goes back to the Willie Lynch theory.
Okay.
The Willie Lynch theory says that the lighter skinned black, as we call them high yellow, they are better than your brown skinned ones, and your brown skinned ones are better than your dark ones.
Well, I'm glad you said that. We're going to address that issue when we come back. We have to go on a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the interpersonal racism in the black community. We'll be right back.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Welcome back to the Elliott Alert. My guest today is community activist Miss Barbara Blunt Muhammad. Thanks again, Miss Muhammad, for coming on the show. Before we left on break, you were talking about the interpersonal relationships that African Americans have, and you were saying that it wasn't racism. Can you explain what you were saying?
What I was saying was, it's more of a divided relationship.
Okay.
And we all know that we are black, regardless.
Okay.
But we hear a lot of the younger generations, they call it yellow bone, a red bone.
Okay.
These are old terms anyway, it's nothing new under the sun. And to them, the red bone or the high yellow African American is more beautiful to them. They're pretty to them. They are more handsome than the dark brother over there that's darker than midnight. and they'd rather be with the light-skinned one. That's our mentality. That's what was put into us for 400 years of slavery.
Well,
and the Willie Lynch theory is a very good book to read. It really is.
Right.
And another book that comes into mind is by W.E.B. Du Bois. That's talking about the two souls of black folk.
Right. Those are very good books.
They're very good because we're trying to be European, either our counterparts, which are Caucasians, but we have an African soul. And we are trying to overlook the African soul as to who we are. And we want to become them. And we love them better than we love ourselves. Because we were made to think that. And what we did was, we took that concept over into the 21st century. We're still going with it.
Now, we spoke about the racial and ethnic conference in reference to, because I moderated that, and a lot of what I heard from black and from white is that we have an economic problem here in our community. We addressed racial issues, but it all came back to economics in our community. Now, if we have 85% of African American, we can put who we want in office. We can dictate the financial structure of different offices. So if that is the case, why is it still a racial issue? I'm not saying that it's not, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying with the tools that we have, why aren't we doing a better job of making sure that we get our fair share?
Because we haven't been taught how to get our fair share. there are issues on the table for us to get our fair share. But they keep saying no. The power structure keeps saying no, we're not gonna do this as of right now.
But how can we let them say that if we have the majority?
Because see, we don't understand. I have always said that we don't understand the electoral process.
Okay. So we need to educate
African
American folks in reference. I agree with you. I think we do.
We just don't understand that when we get in a position, and especially in an elected position, just what it is that we are there for.
The people.
We seem to forget that if we are representing our black neighborhoods, then they don't exist when we get in office. But when we get out of office, we come and it's time for us to get reelected again, so we got to come and ask them for their precious vote.
Well, you know, I'm going to disagree with that.
I know you are.
I'm going to disagree. I think if you are a community person, whether you're white or black, the community that you represent comes first.
It comes first.
And you should actually actively be out searching with not only businesses, but people in the community and activists to see exactly what you should be doing and what direction they should go into. I don't think that that's a color issue. I don't think that's a white or black issue.
Can I say something?
It's an economic issue. Yes, ma'am.
Can I say
yes,
something?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you can ride down the expressway, and you can tell when you get to the black neighborhood. I mean, that's all across this country.
Okay.
You can look, and especially in the South, and you can see that you're in the black neighborhood. No, it's not a sign that says, oh, you're in the black neighborhood now. You just look, and you say, blacks live there.
Right.
Okay? Because where whites live, there's a difference in the neighborhoods.
Okay.
Why?
Wow, are you asking me that why?
No,
or, okay.
Just a statement, why? Because your representatives that are in position are not fighting for your neighborhood. Your ditches should be covered because there is money there for that. To cover the ditches in your neighborhood, to put sidewalks down in your neighborhood. But everybody walks by that's in office, they look, and they look the other way. How can you be in office and you see your neighborhood and then you ask the question, what does my neighborhood need? Well, you live there in your neighborhood.
What is it?
It needs the ditches covered. Right. It needs sidewalks. It needs all of this.
Well, see, if that's the case, then whomever is in that district, be it white or black,
there you go,
should be accountable to what the people say.
That's
is that
right.
correct?
That's right.
And if that is the case, then that's more so of the people electing the right person to get the job done.
And
we have to be more informed in reference to that.
Can I tell you what happens? Because when they get in that elected position, they get a check. And that check that they get, they actually think because the Caucasians hand them the check that this is who paying their salary. No, it's not. It's coming out of the taxpayers' money.
Right.
And the majority of the taxpayers are who?
African American.
Okay. So why is it that you have to be scared to say, okay, let me get with my quorum court representative and let's talk about some funds, some financing to fix up my neighborhood.
Right.
Okay? Self-improvement is what we need.
Right.
And right now, we are not self-improved. We are economically distressed. We are miseducated. And by us having miseducation, economic distress, that causes crime.
Right.
Okay? And this is what we are facing. We are not producers.
Okay.
We are consumers, but we are not producers.
Wow.
And we have to be taught how to be producers, because I always say that UAPB, formerly A&M College.
Which you're alum now.
Thank you, and I'm very proud to be so.
Me too.
Has the most beautiful, beautiful philosophy of any HBCU. And it tells you in that philosophy that when you receive your education, you are to go back and help your black sister and brother. Then it tells you that the end of education is to know God. So the end of education is to know God. Then stop with a BS degree.
Right.
God is in education.
Yes, ma'am. I want to thank you, Miss Muhammad. It's always enlightening to visit with you. And I want to let you know you have just been placed on alert.
Thank you.
All right.